Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Jerry on Ice segment of the PT on Ice Daily Show. My name is Julie Brower. I am a member of the Older Adult Division. Excited to be talking to you all this morning about the term successful aging and why that may be a dirty word. So first and foremost, as always, let's go over some of the courses that are coming up within the MMOA division. So our next 8-week online course, Essential Foundations, starts in August. On the road, we slow down a little bit for the summer, but in June and July, what we have coming up is in June, we will be in Montana and New York, and then in July, we will be in Connecticut, Georgia, and Idaho. So June and July, Montana, New York, Connecticut, Georgia, Idaho. If you are around any of those areas and you want to come hang out with us on a weekend during your summer, we would love to see you. Okay, so let's dive into our topic. Successful aging. Is it a dirty word? So I think as fitness forward clinicians who have a deep rooted, in our heart and soul's belief that active aging is successful aging, need to expand our perspective and check our biases here. I sought out a blog that was written by Ashton Applewhite. Many of you know who she is. She is one of the most prominent anti-ageist activists who are out there right now. And we can always leave it up to Ashton to challenge our biases. So even when I'm thinking that I'm doing a really good job at promoting anti-ageism and within my own belief system, being anti-ageist, Ashton Applewhite comes in and totally gave me a gut punch and has made me completely expand my perspective. And so what I want to do this morning is share with you the blog post that I read, some takeaways from there, and then I dug a little deeper and looked into some research. So I want to share these things with you and then bring this around to how we can expand our perspectives and start to do better for our patients, and even bring this real close to home and how we can actually do better for our families as well by expanding our perspective of what successful aging is. So Ashton Applewhite started this blog out titled, and I'll link it in the comments, Why It's Just Fine to Fail at Successful Aging. And she opens this up by saying successful aging, that model actually leaves ageism unchallenged and actually contributes to it. So my eyes perk up as a fitness forward professional, especially, when we go around and we teach within MMOA, we constantly talk about successful aging and asking that question to our patients. What do you think successful aging looks like? So I became very interested and started to dig more. And Ashton Applewhite starts to give a lot of criticisms to this model. And what I mean by this successful aging model, if you're not familiar, so it was a framework developed back in 1997 by John Rowe and Robert Kahn. And it focused on three main things, which equal successful aging: avoidance of disease and disability, maintenance of cognitive and physical function, and social engagement. And so over the past several decades, there's been this increased interest in the biological, behavioral, social factors which determine the attainment of aging well, and has really encouraged the adoption of a preventative mindset and an optimistic approach to our final years of our life. Which sounds wonderful, right? That is a good thing, that it's encouraging us all to take control of our lives and take control of our aging experience. However, Ashton goes to explain that this leaves a lot on the table. Why? Well, because successful aging kind of puts our aging experience into this binary construct of either we're successful or we have become a failure, right? It puts us into this binary construct of activity and passivity, success and failure, productivity and unproductivity, health and illness, and doesn't allow a whole lot else to be considered successful. She goes on to explain how successful aging really overlooks the role of socioeconomic class. So she calls the successful aging model classist. It overlooks the fact that race and gender and just plain luck contribute to how well somebody can age. And I'm sure we can all relate to this, especially those of you who work in more acute settings, who work in rural areas, who work with a home health population. Some of these folks were just not dealt the cards to allow them to be healthy, to allow them to live a healthy lifestyle, right? It really leaves behind these individuals who weren't healthy or wealthy enough to age in the right way. A lot of what the North American culture and the successful aging model display are that in order to be successful at aging, that's going to require education and leisure and passports to be able to travel and access to good healthcare and nutrition and exercise. All of these things which are expensive. Many of this way that successful aging is framed is that it really just overlooks social inequalities and healthcare disparities. And this is true, right? And it gave me a big gut punch when I go around and I teach with MMOA and we are having everyone close their eyes and imagine a really successful aging scenario. I am telling everyone to imagine that they have financial freedom. They have all the money they want in retirement to travel around the world, and they're walking along the beach and they have zero pain and they don't need an assistive device. And I'm reading this and I'm like, damn, I need to think a little bit more deeply about this. That is not the way that all older adults are going to be able to age, or they even want to age that way. So this is starting to give me this massive gut punch, and it starts to really bring to light more so in our North American culture about how aging is displayed. One of the more recent things that we have seen is, there are starting to be older individuals, older women on the cover of Sports Illustrated and various magazines. Like one just came out with Martha Stewart on the cover. And while that is great, I love that we're starting to show older women be front and center versus a youthful character. There's a lot of problems with that because they're showing older women on the cover of these magazines, but they're highlighting the fact that these individuals who are in their 60s, 70s, and beyond don't look like they're in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, right? They don't act. They are free of disability. They have no wrinkles. And so it's feeding into this problem that successful aging means actually not aging at all, right? I mean, if we think about it, very few of us, and we say this in our course as well. Yes, we want to live long and die fast. We want to go out like the queen. Like we want to just be living full vitality in our lives and then just go in our sleep, right? Living at full capacity and then we're done. The reality is that very little of us, a very small amount of us are actually going to be able to just drop dead without experiencing some kind of decline, right? So Ashton goes on to reference a global perspective, which I think some of these takeaways were pretty mind-blowing to me. And I think they will be for you all too. So she references Successful Aging is a Contemporary Obsession, which is a collection of essays by anthropologists, sociologists, gerontologists, who interpret this successful aging framework in various cultural contexts across 5 continents, and they offer some alternative perspectives of meaningful aging. And it's a really interesting group of individuals here. So they reference Catholic nuns in the US, individuals with Alzheimer's in Brazil, individuals of various sexual orientations, home healthcare workers and their clients in Chicago. And then they go through various aging policies across various countries: Denmark, Poland, India, China, Japan, and Uganda. So a very interesting global perspective. One of the takeaways that I thought was just mind-blowing to me is they referenced how in North America we are so obsessed with independence. And as fitness forward professionals, especially those of us who work with an older adult population, we can probably say that we are. We are constantly pushing independence, right? We are using that as a goal because to us, we want our older adults to live long, die fast, no walkers, no canes, not need anybody's help to do anything, no help needed for ADLs, etc., because we believe that that's successful. We believe that maintaining that independence and being active until the day we die is successful. And I feel that. I still feel that. But it's not always the case. There are individuals who don't believe that. So she referenced in India, how in India it's a completely different story. More than 80% of India's 65 plus population live with their families. They embody this interdependence, and that's meaningful to these folks. There is absolutely nothing demeaning about receiving care and support of all kinds. And she goes to quote, even toileting, even having someone that has to bathe you and wipe you and pull your pants up, take them down, take you to the bathroom every single time that you need to use it, that is accepted. That is actually looked at as a positive, to have this interdependence and to need care. And that, again, that just blew my mind because we're so focused on that not being the case. And we have to realize that older adults across the country, across the entire world, may not think that that is successful. She references Catholic nuns. So this is a group of individuals who are also fascinating because this group of individuals, they don't look at, I am in control of my aging. It's up to me. It's my responsibility. They have ceded their entire control to the divine, right? Their religious beliefs are that my life, the way I'm going to go out, all of this is not up to me. They accept that it's up to their spiritual individual they believe in, the divine, to be in control of that destiny. So when they have disability on board, if they need assistance, they value that. Again, they value interdependence and they focus more about being good versus doing good. And she goes on to say, this is so interesting, that as a group, Catholic nuns are happier, healthier, and they actually have fewer cases of Alzheimer's. The last takeaway from this global perspective that I want to bring to light before we kind of go on how we can do better for our patients and do better for our own families is Ashton references one of the essays that brings to the forefront a model called comfortable aging. Comfortable aging. As a fitness forward GERE clinician, I I cringed when I read that, because we believe comfort kills, right? We believe comfort kills. We want to be uncomfortable all the time, especially when it comes to our active and physical pursuits. So she goes on to say that as opposed to us focusing on this successful aging, where again, it's this binary construct of either you're successful or you're a failure, instead, being comfortable is something that can be subjectively defined and it's attainable. And I'll go on to quote here, most structural issues linked to comfortable aging are non-age specific. Social respect, affordable housing, community-oriented neighborhoods, access to transportation, dependable services, and care that honors all stages in the life cycle. These are universal needs. Comfortable aging. I have a completely new perspective that many of our older adults, you all probably relate to this, they don't want to be active and fit. They just want to be comfortable. And we want to respect that and respect their dignity, that that's what they view as successful. So now to bring this around to how can we take this expanded perspective and do a little bit better for our patients? And I'm going to start with the theme that we hear all the time when we travel across the country and talk to students, whether it's our live course or during our online courses or when I connect with students or colleagues. Their biggest complaint is my patient will not get on board with this fitness forward philosophy. They're not motivated. They're not doing their HEP. I'm exacerbated. And I think this is something that burns clinicians out a lot. And while, yes, it is true that some patients are just very stubborn and they don't follow what we ask them to do, et cetera, we have to look at ourselves first. We have to put this responsibility back on us. First off, we have to ask ourselves, have we dug real deep to know exactly what they want out of life? And maybe the question is not, what does successful aging mean to you, right? Maybe we come up with a different word or a different phrase. How do you want to live out your aging experience? We need to dig deep to know exactly what they want. We need to be clear with what we can bring to the table. And we need to ensure that what they want and what we can offer is a perfect match. If we're not doing that, our evaluation, or at least the first week that we're working with them, we could be wasting so much of our time and so much of our patient's time. If our patient's goal is, I want to die at home, that's all I want to do, what can we bring to the table there? We need to realize that we're not going to be going after fitness, and this person is not going to get on board with a fitness forward philosophy because their goal doesn't match that. If they do want to reach a goal and they want to increase their functional capacity, then we need to be asking, what do you think it's going to take to get you there, and what amount of work, what amount of effort are you willing to put in to get you there? Our patients may have a fitness forward goal, but they sure as heck may not want to put the effort in to get there. And while that may be so frustrating for us, we have to realize that if that's the case, maybe this person is not the right person for us. Next, we have to ask ourselves, are we okay with discharging people? I think we hang on to individuals for way too long because we're trying to shove a fitness forward philosophy down their throats when they don't want it. And 8 weeks go by and we've made no progress, and we are so freaking frustrated and we're burned out and we start to not enjoy our jobs. So one, if we figured out from the very beginning that we're not a good match, we could have avoided that. Second, maybe we thought we were both a good match for each other, but then you get into your plan of care and you're realizing this person is actually not on board. Discharge them. Get rid of them. Maybe it's that they need a different provider, right? Our superpower is bringing a fitness forward approach. Maybe this person looks at successful aging as something completely different. Maybe it's that they want those social interactions, or they want something completely different. They want to just have meaningful time with their caregivers, right? We need to realize that we aren't a perfect match for this person, and discharge them or refer them out to someone else who can actually be the perfect match to help them reach their goal of what they find to be meaningful aging. We need to be okay with letting people go. It is not that we are a failure. We are letting people go in order for them to find the person who's going to help them. We have to be humble enough to realize when we are no longer able to bring that service to them. Okay, now to close this out, I want to bring this around to how we can do better for our family. So we can do better for our patients by really digging in to find out what meaningful aging means to them, determining if we are a perfect match, discharging them early if we are not that match, getting them to who is. Lastly, when it comes to our families, many of you probably have family members who do not live an active lifestyle, and it frustrates you to the ends of the earth. I deal with that right now with my own mother. She is a very unhealthy individual. I have been trying to get her to be fitness forward for as long as I can remember, and she's not biting. It's been a fight for years and years and years. It's been frustrating. It's been sad. I'm now in a situation where she's so sick. Her functional capacity is so low. I'm having my engagement party this weekend. She's not going to be able to make it. She may not be able to make it to my own wedding. This is sad. And for so long, I have fought her to say, why aren't you living a healthy lifestyle? And she has told me over and over again, Julie, I raised you and your brother on my own, and I got you guys the best education that you could possibly get. You are both successful. I'm done. That's what success is to me. And beyond that, I just don't care. And I have fought that for so long because I want her to be a part of my life for as long as possible, especially as I go through getting married and creating a family. And I have to realize that to her, she has reached what success is. And I just encourage you all to have these conversations with your family and just give them the dignity and love them. Love them regardless if their idea of aging looks like yours, right? They may not want anything to do with active aging. And as frustrating as it is, maximize your time with them. Love them regardless, because that's all they want, right? All they want is their kids and their family to love them and be proud of them for what they have accomplished in life. So I will end it there. I highly encourage you all to read the blog. I will post it in the comments to look into some of this research about expanding the successful aging model. I will post a link to the research article that I read for this episode as well. Think about those few things that I mentioned in terms of doing better for your patients and really figuring out what meaningful aging is to them, determining if you're a perfect match. And very lastly, but 100% not least important, love your family. Love your family who hates fitness and is never going to exercise, and who may be going down a slow decline of deterioration in their health. Love them so, so, so hard anyway. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. That was a really long one. Last one, I PR'd at like 13 minutes. This is over 20 minutes, as per usual for me. But all right, we'll talk next time.